tech recruiters are ... Welcome, greetings and salutations. It's another Real Tough Candy live stream today, middle-ish plus of April 2020. Another live stream on the Real Tough Candy channel. Thank you for joining us. Today's topic, as you already know, what's up with these recruiters? What's going on with these software recruiters? Why do we continuously get bombarded with messages, suspicious recruiters, and scammy operators? Are there even recruiters out there who are worth your time? We're going to be sharing some horror stories. We're going to be talking about how recruiters operate and God knows what else. I want to give a special shout out to my patrons and YouTube channel members and Chiquito, all of whom make these videos possible with their financial support. If you're interested in supporting the channel while getting some goodies, hop on over to patreon.com/RealToughCandy. That's /RealToughCandy and become a member today. Now, a Real Tough Candy live stream would not be complete without product placement. We got the mugs. We got the stickers. We have the hoodies. We got the t-shirts. I did it all for the JavaScript. What? The JavaScript. Who? And I recently unlocked a special bonus, developers. Tonight I am officially unlocking fanny packs. Where else? I mean, I already have leggings, I have the baby onesies, and now fanny packs. It's called Upward Mobility, developers, and I'm taking full advantage. I hope you're doing well today. We're going to check in with the peeps. We're going to do a roll call, and then we're going to get into today's topic. So let's see who all is here. Welcome, welcome. Holy smokes, it's already blowing up. Hello, Richard, Saskio, Sammy, what's going on? Michael Kornblum, our mod coming in. Paradoodly Do, another mod. Andrew, Driz, Sarah, our third mod. We have 3 moderators today on the channel. That is so awesome to see. These are all great mods, and I enjoy every one of their efforts to keep this chat rolling. Rebecca, hi, howdy, Viper909, Gabe the 5th over 3 times Pi, Curtis Davis, back in business, Adam, Mustafa, Beverly, 2, Jay, Austin, hello, and Vlaslo. My guy Vlaslo, he's been on fire and fuego on the RTC Discord. We've been throwing around the idea of having a manatee as the official channel. I don't even want to say logo. The official channel manatee. I think this is a thing, and thanks to the RTC Discord peeps for getting that rolling. Only exclusive content. Neckbeard manatees only on the Real Tough Candy network. So Michael Corman wants to know, are the fanny packs available in fanny pack size? Or manatee size? I might be able to make that happen, Michael. Just give me some time. I'll check this out tonight. Also, too, big news for my Linux people today. Ubuntu dropped, was it 20 point something in stable, is officially stable and officially good to go today. I know my friend Michael was having a personal day and doing the things that he does with his Linux machine and having a Linux party, installing Ubuntu. And yeah, I don't know what else to add to that. I don't want to sound ignorant because all I know is that Ubuntu 20 point something came out today. People are downloading it and having a grand old time. So today's topic, as you saw in the screenshot of this video, recruiters are ... scammy ... idiots ... useless, annoying, ignorant. When we think of recruiters, most of us have had bad experiences with them. And it very much is a developer beware situation. Ever since LinkedIn came around, recruiters have been totally out of control. It's an advertising vector for recruiters. The problem with LinkedIn is that even though we do get a lot of leads, we're also getting these recruiters and they don't know anything about tech. How many times have you gotten an email from one of these, or even some other DM or communication where you are completely not qualified for the job that they're telling you about. They took zero time. I mean, they're just like shooting off thousands of emails, hoping that 0.1% of those people that receive those emails might coincidentally click and link up with the actual job at hand. Now, the big problem with recruiters, number one, is that most of them, at least on LinkedIn, at least the ones I've experienced. Now, correct me if other people have had different experiences, but the vast majority of recruiters are not tech people. Just blanket statement. You will especially find that on LinkedIn, but they're not exclusive to LinkedIn. They're everywhere. So how it works is they basically get a commission for placing you in this agency, and companies set aside a budget for these recruiters. Their cut doesn't come out of your paycheck necessarily. Some companies might do that, but most of them, the big ones anyway, are setting aside money for these recruiters, and it's a percentage of what you earn. So the recruiter of course, the recruiter is not going to bother sending out typical entry-level dev jobs, right? The $45,000 to $65,000 range. Why would they send out those offers to people, or those opportunities to job seekers, when they have these 150 $250,000 salaries out in Silicon Valley, and they get a bigger cut? They get a much bigger cut. So most of them don't even fuss with the entry levels. And that's where a lot of us code newbies and people not even on their first job yet, seeking their first job, junior developers seeking their first job, they're getting all of these things sent their way, and they're just not even, it's not even halfway of a match. It's a total mismatch. And so what happens? Developers hate recruiters now. The recruiters have permanently tarnished the entire recruiting industry. And they've lost the trust. They've lost any sort of trust from potential employees. I actually, I stopped using LinkedIn about 3 years ago. Total waste of time. I did get an email from someone at Netflix. Now, this woman was a tech lead. She was not she was not a third-party recruiter. Her title was not any sort of internal recruiter. She was a tech lead in a web department at Netflix, and she wanted to talk to me. As I've mentioned earlier, way earlier on this channel, I don't have any interest in working at a big tech company, especially in Silicon Valley. It's just not my bag. But I'll always be interested in talking to someone, and maybe there might be some more information. I'm always interested in chatting, and I'm always interested in getting more information. If I come across more enlightening information, I have an obligation to reassess my opinions on things. So I said, you know what? It's low pressure. I'll talk to this person. We had a bomb conversation. We talked for over an hour about Netflix, about what she does, about what I do, about my goals. It was the antithesis of scammy, but the purpose of that conversation was to try and extract my viability as a future candidate. Now, if I were to apply to a job at Netflix, would I have hiring priority? No. Well, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, maybe, because of, what do they call it? Not equal opportunity. I've already forgotten the word. Affirmative action, blah, blah, blah. I fill just about every box on that silly form. But just what I'm saying is I wouldn't have gotten priority for the hiring process just by talking to that person. She was a recruiter, but she wasn't. And so that's the type of scenario that more developers want. That's the type of scenario more developers are open to, and it's going to result in more positive outcomes for employers. Having an actual conversation about tech. We talked about it all in that probably like hour 15 minutes. We talked about the tech implementations. We talked about management. We talked about, like I said, their business, what I'm doing, etc. But it was just such a refreshing experience compared to your typical third-party recruiter who knows nothing about tech, who doesn't read your emails. You get these emails, right? So cookie cutter. Hi, after thorough review of your portfolio, after thorough review of your resume, I believe you're a great candidate for Google. Like, no, you don't. You didn't even read my stuff. You didn't even read my thing. So it's a night and day difference when it comes to people internally who are looking for candidates and these third-party recruiters who are essentially used car salesmen. They work on commission. Unless they place people in these jobs, they do not get paid. And if that candidate, this is what I don't get, because if that candidate doesn't fit in that job, if that candidate doesn't stay for like 90 days or whatever during that probation period, the recruiter doesn't get paid. So they have to have, that employee has to be a good fit for that company for at least 3 months for the recruiter to get paid. So, I'm not sure. There's just a lot of scams out there. And I don't know. It's a total wreck, developers. We were talking about it today also. We talk about this quite often. Every week we have someone in the Discord saying, is this a scam? Or LOL, look what kind of email I got from a recruiter. OMG. So Sammy Turner, shout out Sammy, said the bottom line of a recruiter email, if you click on the update link, it takes you straight to a job application form, LOL. It says, if this job specification is unsuitable, the details that we have are probably out of date or incomplete. Please click here to update. If you found a job, are currently in a contract, or want to be removed from the database, please click here. These recruiters are data miners, developers. They're scams. They have totally ruined the recruitment industry. Now, before LinkedIn, it was not this bad. LinkedIn, combined with the fact that anyone can buy their tools to crawl LinkedIn and search for words, buzzwords like Node.js, the Mern stack, MongoDB. You pay a little fee, you get access to their tools, and voila, you're one step closer to being a recruiter. Wait, Saturn clap. You guys remember those commercials from back in the day when someone bought a Saturn? The team would be out and be like, and Linda just bought a Saturn. It's like a golf clap for buying a Saturn. Let's check the comments here. I know people have a lot to say about these recruiters, developers. It's too much. Rebecca says, I worked in the same office of a bunch of recruiters when I was in STL. St. Louis, they didn't know anything, just read from a script when making calls. Yeah, that's your standard recruitment experience. Beverly 2J Austin says, I haven't met one recruiter I could trust. Sarah says, LinkedIn's timeline is turning into Facebook. Regiana Forever says, I love your books. Very helpful. Thank you. Shout out to you, and thanks for your support. Pango Mango says, hello, RTC. I was wondering, do you offer one-on-one mentoring that one can purchase? Yes, I do consultations. Send me an email, RealToughCandy@gmail.com, and we can get you set up with that. Let's see. Vlaslo says, I get those almost every day. Senior devs are my fave messages. It quickly tells me that they never read my profile or resume. That's just it. And it's just like any other type of human-to-human contact. It could be a dating app. It could be for jobs. It could be for whatever. If you don't read my profile, you're going straight to trash. I'm going to sneak you right off to trash. You can't be bothered to read for 3 minutes. And you're going to try and recruit me or date me or otherwise get something out of me, and you haven't even read my little spiel, you bent. And most developers feel the same way. The problem is the time sink. Because amongst these thousands of scam bots, data miners, and people who claim to be recruiters, they took a 5-minute free Udemy course and some crumpled certificate of completion stuck in their band cave or whatever. In that cloud is a 1% of people who are actually legitimate. Like the Netflix person, the Netflix tech lead. She didn't call herself a recruiter though, but she wasn't. You know what I'm saying? So I think, there's no coming back from the bad name that tech recruiters currently have. Even people who don't have tech experience, who never even have one job in tech, have already had negative experiences. They're getting bombarded, and it's so ridiculous. But the thing is, they just bomb the LinkedIn populace, or they scrape their database with all these phone numbers to do these cold calls or whatever. Even if there's so many people in these databases, there's so many people in LinkedIn looking for jobs, or not even looking for jobs, that you have a million people at your disposal. And if even 0.5 or 0.1% of those million people respond positively, it's a pretty good day. And especially if you job place 0.1% of a million people, you're doing all right. And these tools just make it so much easier to bulk data collect. And LinkedIn really, as Sarah O said it, LinkedIn really is the new Facebook. Because what is the main purpose of Facebook? It's to sell ads. It's to scrape your interests. It's to parse your comments and put you on many lists and advertise to you. Same thing with LinkedIn. This is how they make a lot of their money. They sell these recruiting tools. And unfortunately, these tools have been completely abused. I don't think recruiters have helped solve the tech shortage in any way. If anything, I think they've made it worse. So this is an Indeed post I wanted to throw up here. I just have a collection of negative experiences on here. I mean, I can't find a positive one on the first 3 pages of Google. Ketchup54 says, just recently got back into the job market in many years and posted my resume in numerous websites. Now I'm getting a bunch of calls from recruiters with heavy Indian accents with recruiting company names I've never heard of. Nothing wrong with an accent, but most technical recruiters I had dealt with tend to have English communication skills that rival that of a car salesman, with no disrespect. Some obviously have not even read my resume, and some have even asked inappropriate questions like my ethnicity or how long I've lived in the US. Is this some kind of new scam, phishing for personal data from online resumes, job sites, or LinkedIn profiles, or some high-volume recruitment company running out of India? Holly9 just said it. This is a scam. I have received many calls from recruiters out of state. Don't give them info. You can also receive emails for jobs that have an hourly rate much higher than the going rate. Blah, blah, blah. Ruby Slipper says it's called data mining. I don't recommend posting your resume online. Right, but there is that 1% chance that it may be legitimate on LinkedIn. So that's why most people, I think, they're just waiting for that. They're waiting for that opportunity. And they're out there. Like I mentioned earlier, they're out there, but you have to wade through so much crap. Rich One says, remove your resume from the internet completely. Here, Rich is flipping the script here, saying, go offline. You are leaving yourself open to foolishness at best and criminal activity at worst. Proper process. 1, research the company that listed the job ad. If no company name is provided, skip the ad. That's actually pretty good advice. After researching, don't trust the info on the job ad. Company name, address, phone, etc. Call the company to ensure there are people working there. Number 3, ask if they ran the ad and if the position is still open. Ask the person you talked to at the company if they're an employee of said company. Some people will lie. Someone told me, that is illegal. Okay. If you don't get to talk to a live person, don't send any information. Some scammers set up fake answering machines and systems to make you think it's a real company. Only after you've made sure it's a real company with the building and people are working there should you send any information. This is actually pretty good advice. If you really want to talk about the scams, they do, like some of these data mining farms and these scam operators, they're in call centers. They're in makeshift basements with people bulk sending emails and DMs and text messages, actual phone calls. Research that company. If it sounds like a scam, it frickin' is. Okay? It can be, most of these scammers are not smart. Most of these things can be figured out by a simple Google search, and please do that. Because you don't want your information stolen. You don't want the time sink either. Even if they don't steal your information, that's just a time sink. That's an hour or 2 engaging with people who are just trying to get your digits to do something nefarious or otherwise waste your time. Okay, So let's go back to the comments here. I know we're going to have some good comments. Let me know your experiences with recruiters. Has anyone here had a good experience with a recruiter? You know, this channel is always open to alternative viewpoints. And I like hearing about different experiences because it lets people use their brain to make up their own mind rather than being told what to do. Let's see. Sammy Turner says, indeed, the ones without tech savvy are not evil people. They're just clueless. The rare recruiters who do have tech smarts don't spam folks. They let devs approach them. Sarah O says, forget recruiters not knowing anything. How about human resources, 5 to 7 years experience for an entry-level job? Totally. Yeah. Yeah, and that's the other thing about this whole process is that if you successfully manage to successfully rather avoid recruiters, you're still going to have to deal with human resource departments who know very little about the job requirements. And this is something we see too, going back to Indeed here. We see this all the time everywhere, not just on this channel, but anyone who's used Indeed for looking for a dev job. Time and time again, they say, looking for a front-end developer with 5 years experience in Kubernetes. Kubernetes is not a front-end development tool. Like above, I mean, has Kubernetes even been around for 5 years? They'll mention a tech that hasn't been around for the amount of experience they're looking for. Like, we want a MERN stack developer with 15 years experience, for example. That's a little bit of exaggeration, but you know, we've seen the ads that are just like, dude, are you serious? So yeah, Sarah's right. Human resources isn't much better in a lot of these cases either, but at least with human resources, you know, the job posting is probably legit. Whereas when we're dealing with recruiters on something like LinkedIn, to my understanding, there's no real vetting process for these recruiters. Anyone can call themselves a recruiter, and they may be taking you down a deep, dark path you wish you would have never opted into. So that is the one small silver lining of dealing with HR. Sammy Turner says, one very good experience with a recruiter. He never spammed anyone, just posted jobs and let the devs contact him. He had tech experience, made all the difference. That's a great point, Sammy, because you know what? Developers are hungry. We also know how to use computers. We also know how to get in contact with people. The real people, a big set of legitimate recruiters, they know they don't have to spam a million people. These developers are going to come to them. Working in enterprise, I had the opportunity to interview a couple developers. I was on an interview team. I also had the opportunity to go through some of these applications. In fact, a lot of the applications. We didn't even have to post a job opening. There was a expired job listing from like 6 months ago. People still managed to get the contact information for my company, and they were sending stuff in. Developers are hungry, and when developers want a job, they're going to find a way to contact these people and get that resume to the proper person, get that application package to the proper person. So Sammy brings up a good point. Recruiters out there, the legitimate ones, a lot of them are taking the sit back and wait for people to come. They're taking the inbound marketing approach where they're waiting for people to just come to them, because they know they don't have to do too much outbound outreach. I guess that's redundant. They don't have to do a lot of outreach. They just have to let developers know that they exist and then take it from there. Let's go back to these comments. Gabe the Fifth over 3 times pi says, I once got hired in IT with the help of a recruiter. He would bring me donuts and coffee every Friday. I asked if I could call him Papa. Fair enough. I mean, donuts and coffee. Beverly 2J Austin says, recruiters are the reason I won't try a boot camp. That guarantees a job. I got burned by recruiters at my college. Never again. Yeah, these recruiters, man, they're sneaking into other places. You know, I don't even know if this is legal anymore, but back in the day when I was in high school, they let military recruiters come in. 9th grade, we had an Army recruiter take over our English class and give away a U.S. Army hoodie. I won the essay, by the way. I don't have the hoodie anymore, but it was a comfortable hoodie. But what I'm saying is they let people come in to these places of learning, people who have their own agenda, not necessarily to benefit students. So whether it's for the military or for a tech company, these recruiters are coming in to colleges, to schools, to junior highs, to universities, etc. And they're sneaking in and manifesting and just putting their claws into these student bodies. And it's predatory, in my opinion. Even if it is just for a tech job, these recruiters, there needs to be a standard, in my opinion. This needs to be, it's got to change. There's too many. There are too many scams. This is people are losing lots of time. They're losing their money and they're getting their identity stolen, and they're just de-boosting morale. They're bringing down morale of software developers looking for jobs. Great comments today, by the way. Thanks everyone for tuning in. If you're just tuning in, come on guys, 47 here, hit that like button. If you are enjoying today's live streams or if you've attended these live streams, do me a favor, hit that like. Show some love on the RTC channel. Curtis Davis says, yeah, all people do not have your best interest. Sarah O says they still let military recruiters and others come into high schools. Man, yeah, I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy to see that still happening. Gabe the Fifth over 3 times pi says, a bad story is, I had a recruiter tell me I could get any job he had as long as I signed up for a university he worked with. WTF. Coding Hag is here. Do. Yeah. What's up, Coding Hag? Good to see you. Checking in. Michael Kornblum says, I think it boils down to the fact that there are good actors and bad actors within every industry. This is true, Michael. But there are more bad actors than good actors in recruiting right now. At least that's what the DMs would tell us. That's what the emails would tell us. And that's what all these articles written by everyone from Free Code Camp to Indeed to entire Reddit threads dedicated to this toxicity we're experiencing in recruiting. And most people do not have positive experiences with recruiters. Curtis Davis says, but the recruiters use the wrong standards, i.e. years of experience. That's a great point too. The metrics for assessing your viability as a candidate are just not, they're just not right. Because again, going back to the HR thing, if they're judging you based on 15 years of Node experience, Node hasn't even been around for 15 years. Or you're looking for a junior developer with 6 years experience. That's not a junior. The metrics, Curtis is totally right. The metrics used to preliminarily assess the viability of a candidate. I feel like Mary Poppins or something using these words. Accessibility, viability, la la la. The metrics they're too basic. And also, in my opinion, they're focused too much on quantity, the quantitative data, rather than the qualitative data. That's another rant for another day. Great comments, though, people. Danielle, what's going on? Or Daniel, sorry, Daniel. From what I've seen, third-party recruiters are pretty useless to entry-level devs. Amy Tant, how's it going? In my personal experience, recruiters are not great. Hologram Nunchuck, what is up? Mike, how goes it? How do you tell the scam recruiters from the legit ones? That's a great question. I would take the advice of this guy. First of all, number one, if it sounds like a scam, it probably is. Now, if you're interested in getting other people's opinions on whether it's a scam or not, pop it in the Discord, because we love reading this stuff. The general Discord on the RealToughCandy Discord, or the general chat on RealToughCandy Discord, has been absolutely awesome these past couple days. It's been en fuego to the maximum. We also have different rooms, like a job board and stuff, but stick it in general. If you get an email or something and you want a second opinion, stick it in general. We will tell you. But the rule of thumb is, if it sounds like a scam, it probably is. If you don't feel like joining my chat room, I won't have my fifis hurt. But check out what this guy Rich says. He has this process. Research the company. Call them to see if it's legit. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and sneak this in to the general chat right now. I think this guy gives great advice. because this was the thread about experience with suspicious recruiters. This is a 3-page thread. A lot of people have a lot to say about this. But this is like, let's see, 1, 2. It's the 3rd comment down. Let me just pop it in here. It's good advice. Donovan with the super chat. Donovan with the super chat. Donovan with the super chat. Yes. Donovan means business today. Developers, Donovan, thank you so much. Donovan says, I hit the like button years ago. He certainly did. He certainly did. Donovan has been a supporter of this channel for 3 effing years, people. We also had just a wonderful live stream. These live streams are so fun, but when I have guests, there's just an energy, and the energy that Donovan brought to the live stream was just awesome. We did a live on Monday. He's 100% self-taught, okay? He's currently employed. He has different experiences. We talk about so much stuff. Paradoodly-doo, be a doll, and pop that link into the live chat with our interview, with the live stream with Donovan. Thank you so much for the super chat. It means a lot. Coding hag. Doo-doo, doo-doo. Yeah, doo-doo, doo-doo. It's heating up. It's heating up in the super chat. Thank you for that awesome exercising pigeon coding hag. Love that handle. Sarah says, what about temp agencies? This is a good question, too. We're going to come back. Craig Wadding with the super chat. Doo-doo, doo-doo. Yeah. Thank you so much, Craig, Coding, Hag, and Donovan. Super chat on fleek. Sarah, that's a great question. We're gonna come back to this. We had a few other comments. Amy says, another is that tech recruiters usually lack real tech knowledge expertise to be able to tell what companies actually need and what developers can provide. Right. Yeah, and we kind of talked about that earlier, but that's a good point too, because the recruiter is actually the intermediary between the company and the candidate. And so here's the company, here's the candidate, here's the recruiter. And so the recruiter's job is to bring these two entities together. And you know what that requires? Really good communication skills. Like they gotta be the absolute unit. That person has to have absolute unit level communication skills. And if they don't, they're not going to understand the value the candidate can bring to the company. And they're not going to understand how the company might be a good fit with the candidate. So that person has real recruiters have a huge responsibility. Real recruiters have to know the business operations and the business needs of the company. They have to know the actual needs of the company when it comes to that specific position. They also have to know the tech terms. They also have to know that having 15 years experience in Node is not a real thing. So they really have to have their ear to the ground and have their spidey senses alert at all times because this stuff changes. And also they need to have that communication on fleek. Most of these recruiters we see on LinkedIn, and you know what? I have to be totally honest. This recruiter scam thing is a freaking LinkedIn problem. LinkedIn has totally decimated and destroyed the recruiting industry, at least for tech jobs. Software developers don't trust them. Even though there are some good ones out there. It sucks. It sucks. But as Sarah and some other people were saying, the real recruiters, they know software developers are going to be coming to them. They don't have to send out 1 million emails every day randomly, just shotgunning them across the internet. They don't have to. They know the mind of the typical software developer. Someone also said too that recruiters don't really match well with new developers. Was it Curtis? I don't know. It was somewhere in the chat, but that was a good comment too, and it's true. For all the reasons we discussed, and also another reason we discussed earlier, they're not going to try and match a junior developer with a junior dev job because the typical junior dev job, it's paying 45 to 65K. Why are they going to fuss with that? They get a cut from placing you. They get, let's say it's 3%. It's like a real estate cut or some real estate commission, 1.5 to 3% for an agent. Let's say they get 3%. Now, any non-math fan can even figure out 3% of 65,000 is a lot less than 3% of 200,000. So these shady recruiters are just throwing out the big top tier wages, the top tier salaries, just hoping point whatever percent will stick, and then they can place that one person. Just placing one person is gonna, give them a paycheck for the week or whatever. Maybe even a month, depending on where you're from. Developers, the super chat is en fuego. Thank you so much. Great comments, but let's go back down here to Sarah's comment about temp agencies. Someone else might have asked about this above. The chat is totally en fuego, so sorry if I missed it. What about temp agencies? I went to one a few months ago, and the lady had a book she was asking me questions from. She had no idea what, as she called it, a JavaScript was. She referred to it as a JavaScript. Is that like the Facebook? Oh my gosh. Yeah. That's another good point too. Temp agencies, in my experience, temp agencies, it's a real grab bag. They're kind of like coding boot camps. They're unregulated, so you have to be careful which ones you go to. Now, some temp agencies, there are some out there that specifically deal with placing software developers. I forget, there's a few of them. I forget their names off the top of my head. But if we're talking about your typical local temp agency looking for like an IT person or something, they're not going to have any idea. I don't even know. And that's the other thing you have to keep in mind too. If this company is reaching out to general temp agencies that normally send people out to assemble widgets or cut flowers, and they're sending this job opening to this temp agency to try and recruit an IT person or a software developer, I would be suspicious about that software company or whatever company that needs the software developer, because that tells me the company is kind of clueless about how to screen for potential candidates. If your temp agency person, and these temp agency people, their job is to place. Their job isn't necessarily to make sure you get 100% on the interview questionnaire. Their job is to maybe give you a questionnaire, maybe give you an interview. But their ultimate goal is to place you, because again, they also get money. They get per head. They get that little kickback whenever they place someone, whether it's again assembling widgets or creating web apps. So I would proceed with caution if you're looking for a dev job with a temp agency. Again, the quality varies. Someone asked last month, again, maybe it was Curtis, I can't remember who it was. There was a temp agency, they had a branch in Minneapolis. We looked over it. I don't remember which live stream it was, but they had a few openings for these creative agencies. I would at least do your homework before you took the plunge, because as Sarah mentioned, sometimes these people don't really know what they're saying, calling the JavaScript the JavaScript. Okay. Coding Hag says, I enjoyed the Donovan interview. Yeah, it was great. We had a great time. Mike says, what are some ways recruiters take advantage of you? There is another comment up here from Amy. Amy says, another is that tech recruiters usually lack real tech. Oh, sorry, we went over that one. What are some ways recruiters take advantage of you? Well, I mean, if the recruiter's a spammer or a scammer, they're going to take advantage of you by data mining you. Whether it's a social security number, giving you a code test that maybe is part of a project they're working on or something. I mean, it could be any type of flavor. But if it's a scam, there are so many ways they can take advantage of you. At the very minimum, they're going to take advantage of you by wasting your time. You're talking to a scammer a recruiter, a third-party recruiter, for an hour. You just wasted an hour of your time. What's your time worth? For some people, it's not worth very much, but even still, there's an opportunity cost there. You could have spent that hour improving your portfolio, improving your resume, reaching out to people in your network, or going to meetups, going to virtual meetups. So your time is worth X amount of dollars. No matter what, no matter if you're unemployed, your time is still worth a lot. Craig says, I give more, but I still haven't gotten the stimulus. That's all right, Craig. Hey, every bit is appreciated, stimulus or not. Sammy Turner, absolute unit. I am in awe at the size of this recruiter. John B, what's going on? Connor says software devs are entitled. I'm listening, Connor. I'm not sure if you're trolling or not, but I am listening. Resumes are keyword death traps, indeed. Curtis Davis, code test, they're getting free work, sneaky. Leon Brown says, never sign a contract with a recruiter that doesn't have a clear exit clause. Yeah, that's something, I mean, I don't even know if we have time to get into that to dig with the nitty gritty details about when you do find a recruiter who is working legitimately and signing the contract. Do you get a lawyer? How do you read this thing? What are you looking for in a contract? And in fact, Donovan, I mean, I would love to have Donovan again on the channel to talk about contracts. We talked about them a little bit on our live stream on Monday, but to talk about what exactly you should expect in a contract, what is typically inside a contract, and how to negotiate some of the terms in a contract, and how much control you have over that contract. A lot of stuff to talk about with that. And actually, contracts really don't get talked about much at all, at least on the YouTubes, from what I've seen. Craig Wadding says, I could have spent that hour watching RTC YouTube videos. I'm just saying, Craig. Amy says, Leon, I hadn't even signed a contract with them. The contract was between company and recruiters. Company didn't sign because of how they talked about me. Interesting. Michael Kornblum says, especially if that company wants a full stack dev who folds laundry. Developers, this was another thing. My friend Laszlo sent me this a few months ago. It was so funny. This is all part of just a tier of employers, a tier of recruiters, a slimy tier you generally want to avoid. This company was like a legitimate massage place. They were looking for someone who was not only a software developer, not only fluent in technology and programming, but also who could fold light laundry for $13 an hour. Isn't that nice? Isn't that special? Isn't that wonderful? I can't think of anything I'd rather do than fold someone's grungy undies while I'm trying to debug line 847 in my PHP application. You gotta watch out for some of these companies, developers. Research is key. Danielle Bloom, what's going on? I was contacted by recruiters on LinkedIn when I put a Udemy certificate for HTML and CSS on my profile. All senior level jobs, nothing for a senior. Yeah, that's the standard on LinkedIn. It's terrible. It's so wasteful. It's so lame. Amy says, then I guess the recruitment agency tried to intimidate the company for perceived contract breach when there is no signed contract, or because they, quote, introduced me, they wanted $10,000, they wanted 10,000 euros or so. Danielle says, I learned so much from the stream with Donovan. Thanks for that, RTC and Donovan. No problem. Donovan is such a great guy to just in general, but when he comes on the channel, he is always sharing his knowledge, and he has so much to share. It's so great to see. Just people, this is something I just love about this industry. People, where's my mic? People love to share good stuff, the good stuff. George Meehan, hi. RTC, read my thread. I'm trying. Let me see. Let me go up here. Okay. We're going to read Amy's thread here because I read half of it, and we're going to fit the pieces together. Okay, here we go. Amy says, I think this is the top of the thread. Okay, I found the thread, Amy. Now we're going to put some sense to the half thread that I just read of yours. So, personal experience last year. Graduated with a bachelor's at age 30, looking for full first-time job, but had freelance, family business / internship experience. Okay. Was treated equivalent as a 21-year-old graduate anyway. Okay, somewhat understandable. But then they just started trying to get me to apply at any company for any job, no real personal care. They just tried to fit me into the mold of what they perceived the company's needs were. Then I found a job through recruiters, but not really thanks to them. They connected me to the company. Company didn't want to work with them because of how they represented me in a negative way, because of my disability. Company then reached out to me themselves, told me about the situation, and I applied with them without involvement of recruiters. Then when I got the job without recruiters' involvement, they still tried to claim a fee from the company, and one of my contacts at the recruiters, who had already known beforehand, blamed me. I hadn't even signed a contract with them. The contract was between company and recruiters. Company didn't sign because of how they talked about me. Then I guess the recruitment agency tried to intimidate the company for perceived contract breach when there was no signed contract. I mean, I don't know if the company heads were 100% truthful towards me, but they seemed a lot more straight up than the slimy recruitment agency was. Wow. Wow. Amy, thanks for sharing that tale. That I don't know how to add to that other than, number one, I'm not surprised. Unfortunately, stories like that are all too common, and it's terrible to hear. It's terrible. People, the discrimination, the lack of communication, the eye on the commission fee, just doing anything for that. It's really awful. I'm sorry to hear about that experience, but hopefully your company is treating you in a respectful way, and you're getting it. recruiters, tech recruiters are ... Today's topic on the Real Tough Candy live stream. Oh, we have stories, developers. We have stories. We have some people here who have seen some stuff with these recruiters. A few people have had good experiences, but if you read the live stream threads, you will see that they are of a certain breed and a very small percentage of all the rest of these recruiters. They're small. The legitimate recruiters are a small piece of the sea of recruiters, LinkedIn style recruiters who are just sending off ungodly amounts of emails, spamming and doing terrible things. And even people who are working internally for HR or not recruitment agencies, job placement agencies. Got to be careful out there, developers. And the worst part is, even though a lot of us are taking 100% steps to try and mitigate these things, people still manage to ruin our days and try and ruin our careers. Trust me, I know how it goes. It really is a morale. It kills morale. Psychotic TV says tech recruiters are absolute criminals. George Meehan, Dev, popping in. Developers, great live chat today. If you are watching this on the replay, be sure to enable the live chat rerun, because that's where it's popping. That's where the activity is. That's where people are sharing these stories from hell. Some good ones too. Leon has a good tip here. Never sign, I think I already went over this one, never sign a contract with a recruiter that doesn't have a clear exit clause. Just going to go over some more comments here. Mustafa says, good recruiters always look you up, so pay attention to your online reputation. Totally. Exactly. That's a really good point too. Going back to my experience, the one recruiter I had experience with, they reached out to me, but then it was up to me. There weren't like 100 follow-ups. It was one. It was a short DM on LinkedIn. This person was easily verifiable because they work in the company. This person did not call themselves a recruiter, but their activities would indicate that they are. They're just not officially calling themselves that, because you know what? That term has such a negative connotation. Legitimate recruiters don't want to even call themselves that anymore. And I think we're going to get to this point where actual recruiters who are doing the actual placements, who are doing the screenings, they're going to have to call themselves something else. There is no cleaning up the tarnished word recruiter in this industry. There's no reeling back from it. There's no polishing it to its once somewhat respectable name. We're gonna have to call it something like hipstery. I don't know. Does anyone have any interesting ideas for a new school term for a legitimate recruiter? How about just, I don't know, legitimate person? I think we can start with that and work our way to something a little more useful. Amy says, man, this is a good thread. So let's see, must be careful about how, Leon says, must be careful about how you word your emails to recruiters. They ask you to give permission via email to exclusively represent you to the company, which can be used as a legally binding contract. Yeah. So that, yeah. That's a good comment. You have to be careful with that. Craig says, only experience I have with a recruiter, I almost joined the USAF. That's one of those things where you don't want to be signing anything and then not show up. Oh my gosh. There are a lot of close calls with those military recruiters. Curtis Davis says, in California, they require to pay you if your interview lasts an hour. You know what? That's fair enough. Curtis Davis says talent acquisition. Something like that. Yeah, that's something I've heard. I've heard talent acquisition a lot. But we just, like I said, the term is so tarnished. There is no way someone legitimate is going to be taken seriously with recruiter in their profile. Maybe a few people have been doing it and have a good reputation before the name was completely destroyed, but for the most part, methinks not. Yes, I know, Amy, I'm sorry, I'm missing a few of your messages. The chat is going so fast. I'm sorry. I'll try to make sense of it. Craig Wadding, recruiter equals particular individual resource supplier. There you go. What's up, Hingle McCringle? Praying my developer friends' recommendations will help me avoid some of these horror stories. You know, honestly, what was I even going to say to that? Recruiters are not your only way. I guess that's like an obvious statement. Most of us know that. But there are just so many other ways you can find a job placement. And one of the misconceptions is a recruiter is going to fast track you and have you bypass the entire interview. No. You still have to do the interviews. You still have to meet the team members. You have to meet your boss before you even, sign the dotted line. You have to go through all that red tape. The recruiter is just trying to connect you to a company and then open up that opportunity to you. Rather than, because I think even back in the day, I'm like, oh, recruiters, does that mean I don't have to do an interview? If they think I'm such a great candidate, I don't really have to sit down for an hour and answer these silly questions, right? No, you still have to. So that was like, oh man, dreams ruined. Like, interviews are just so unnatural for all of us. Some people do better at them than others. Even with preparing, I'm still just like, it's an anxiety expedition the minute I wake up in the morning getting ready for that interview. Recruiters don't take that process away. Sadly, I wish they did. Going back to the comments, but yeah, that's the thing that I meant to say. There are so many ways you can get hooked up with a company. Recruiters are they're almost outmoded. They're almost old-fashioned at this point. When we're talking about the legitimate ones, they still do add value. Otherwise, they wouldn't be doing what they do. I'm talking about the legitimate ones, not the scammers, not the used car salesmen. They do provide value to employers and companies, but so many opportunities for us to discover companies have popped up in the last few years, particularly at meetups and other tech gatherings, conferences. Oh my gosh, developers, if you haven't been to a tech conference, once it's safe to go outside again and have these meetings, I highly recommend you check out your local tech conferences. There are booths, there are people with business cards. Employers are swarming at these places. They are swarming. I've gone to DevOps conferences. I've gone to full stack open source conferences. I've gone to a bajillion different meetups. But as far as the conferences, this is where you're going to see the employer booths and people who actually work at these companies. There are going to be some recruiters there, but they're not your working in a dank basement, a cold emailing a million people type recruiter. These are people who work internally, or they are a tech lead who have taken on the responsibility of finding talent. Talent acquisition, as Curtis said. They are responsible for keeping their ears and eyes on the streets, in the conferences, and out in the wild to find candidates. Conferences usually cost money, so start saving up. I'm serious. It is dripping. Even this DevOps conference, These are companies you've never heard of. We've got startups, we've got local companies, you've got companies from Silicon Valley in the bigger cities. It's a melange of employers. It was absolutely wild how many employers I saw there at that DevOps conference. And DevOps people, they're not necessarily, people recruiting at DevOps, they're not, you have to know how to program in order to be an effective DevOps person. So there are people looking for developers, they're looking for DevOps people, but they're also looking for software developers like us, web developers. We might even have some DevOps people in the chat, certainly on the channel somewhere. But I mean, there are just so many other places you can go besides LinkedIn recruiting hell. It's a wasteland. I don't need to. I think I'm just beating the dead recruiter horse here, but it's just a wasteland out there. Craig says I'm in Columbus, Ohio. Surprisingly many meetups here. Yeah, no doubt. Columbus, yeah. I mean, all across the Midwest, all across the world, and I can definitely vouch for them. They've helped me so much. Hologram Nunchuck says, so should aspiring devs just ignore the recruiter route altogether? Hologram, that is a friggin' excellent question. Yes. 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 Period. Dot. End statement. Yes. There are easier routes. There are friendlier routes. There are more legitimate routes. And there are more efficient routes. None of them go back to recruiters. Because as we've lamented on this channel, as we've talked about on this channel so many times, employers don't want newbies. Unfortunately, it's just the fact, right? They all want 20 years, blah, blah, blah. However, there are a lot of companies out there that make exceptions. There are a lot of companies out there that will take a chance on a junior. But the recruiters work on a commission, many of them, and when there's an internal recruiter, generally speaking, they're not reaching out to new developers. I lucked out and talked to someone from Netflix. It's not common. It's an outlier. It's an edge case. It doesn't happen all that often. And you know, I never pursued the opportunity from there anyway. I would still have to go through the entire application process, etc. A lot of companies, now this is important, a lot of companies that are employing junior developers don't use recruiters because a lot of these companies don't have money to pay one. So I am so glad you asked that question because that really is probably the kernel of truth above everything we talked about in this stream, is that if you're an aspiring or new developer, stop wasting your time on recruiters. There are easier ways to become employed. And the companies that are employing junior devs are companies you have never heard of. They're mom and pop shops, they're local digital agencies. They are enterprise companies that have been around decades in that brown building on the corner of 8th and 23rd. You never know what went on in there until recently when someone told you they actually do software development and they're looking for a new hire. It's those types of places that are going to take a chance on a junior. It's those types of places, not the Amazons, not the Googles, where these recruiters are congregating, where they have internal resources, where they also have third-party recruiters. Those are where the big salaries are. And the new and aspiring set of developers don't work into that equation. So I'm so glad you asked that question. In my opinion. Now, you're not going to turn into a witch or a mouse if you go and use a recruiter or entertain some of these recruiters. But I'm telling you right now, it's going to be a waste of time as a junior. You're just going to get upset. You're going to dislike recruitment even more, and they're probably not going to be able to help you. Stick to the local, stick to the companies that are open to juniors. Start going to meetups, start going to tech conferences, network. Developers, the other day with Donovan, he threw out a tweet. He tweeted about something he needed in software. I can't remember what it was. Donovan, if you're still here, what did you tweet about? He tweeted about something and he got a response, and the cog started moving just from a tweet. You'll have more opportunities tweeting that you need a job than you will with the recruiter. Guarantee it. Guaranteed. And if you're looking for a job, just recruitment is just a waste of time as a newbie. Coding Hag says it's all about the grit. Reach out, let them know you're interested. Yeah, totally. Totally. That's, don't be afraid to contact these companies directly. Start sending these tech leads, start sending these senior developers. These people aren't hard to find. Start sending them DMs. Take the time. Going back to how we opened up this live stream, if someone's going to send me a message saying they read my profile, whether it's online dating or a job board saying they read my profile and they frickin' didn't, they're going straight to trash. Sneak to trash, sneak to junk, straight to trash. So, and it's like, what was my point? Coding, yeah, so that was my point. Sorry, I was just getting totally swirly-eyed, reminiscing about how many times I've had to just go straight to trash with these people. They didn't take the time. So you have to, so don't be the recruiter. Don't be that guy. Be the person who takes a half an hour or an hour researching that company, researching what they do, understanding what they do, how they do, and reach out to senior developers, reach out to mid-level, reach out to whoever is an appropriate fit for what you're needing. In this case, we're talking about a job. Contact that senior developer or someone else in that team and say, I research more about your company. Here's what I do. And get the conversation going. All you have to do is start a conversation. That's where jobs come from. That's where interviews come from. Interviews and job placements, opportunities do not come from spamming people. They do not come from sending messages to people when you didn't do any research. If someone came to me, and here's the thing, I can even give an example now. So I own my own business, and I don't need a 9-to-5 job. I don't want one. I have my own 9-to-5 and my own job. So when people want to come to me asking me for a job or asking to sponsor the channel or my website, do you know who I respond to? People who've taken the time to research my channel. People who actually know that my nickname is RTC. Someone called me RTC in a cold email the other day, and I responded to them. Under normal circumstances, I wouldn't have. But I know with them calling me RTC that they did their research. And so I'm going to at least start a conversation with them. Now, we might not do a deal, but we're going to get the conversation going. And so that is so important. Coding Hag has said it earlier in the chat, reaching out to these companies, doing your research. Curtis also said it too, and other people. You don't need a recruiter. You can do it completely on your own with better results. Not completely on your own, but you know what I'm saying with this. Completely without the aid or destructive talent of recruiters, whether third party and sometimes internal. Craig Wadding says, I have a dev friend told me half of the work is reaching out yourself. There are a lot of people at meetups that will want to help you. Yeah. Hi, Craig says, hi, I read your profile. You look like a great candidate for this position. Brain surgeon, astronaut, NASA. Pretty much how they didn't read my profile. Pretty much no, they didn't read my profile. Yeah. All it takes for these people to get a response is to spend 5 minutes reading our stuff. Donovan says, okay, so he was talking about Twitter. It was Teaching for Girl Development Detroit. Other companies saw my tweet and wanted to teach code and wanted him to teach code for their programs. That's all it took. That's all it took was Donovan reaching out on Twitter and saying, hey, I'm trying to get something. Hey, I need something. That's all. That's basically why he went to Twitter, because he needed something. And he got a response. It's crazy. You'd think like, oh, Twitter, yeah, mostly Twitter sucks, but sometimes tech Twitter can be really, really helpful. Coding Hag says, we're just talking about dusty recruiters. Yeah. Craig Wadding, we're talking about loading human resources and recruiters onto the next shuttle to Mars. Tech Rally says, shoot, came late. What'd I miss? Everything. But I'm glad you're here, Tech Rally. Tech Rally has his own channel, and he's also a member of the RTC Discord. Check out his channel. He has some really good videos. He's a senior developer. We might have to get Tech Rally on this channel if he's interested. Tech Rally, what do you think about doing a live stream sometime soon? Would you be down for visiting on the RTC network? What do you think, Takale? Tell me, tell me. Main Street Studio says, I'm learning, OMG! Please, people, ask more questions. Main Street, if you missed it earlier, we were truly going into the uncharted territory. Not really, though. With tech stories, people with terrible experience, people with some positive experiences with tech recruiters and the like. We're talking about human resources. We were talking about job placement agencies. We were talking about someone who interviewed Sarah and called it the JavaScript. I did it all for the JavaScript. What? The JavaScript? Who? Shameless merchandise plug. By the way, if you're looking for some resource, if you have a tech interview coming up, this is a good spot for me to like start advertising everything. Sorry, developers. This is like the internal commercial break here. I recently published an article about some really good courses for people gearing up for a technical interview. By technical interview, I mean if you're going to be doing a coding challenge or going to be asked those silly algorithmic questions you'll never use IRL. Training for that style of technical interview takes a couple months. So if you're interested, I have collected and written about a group of good prep courses and prep books. If you're doing a technical interview, Paradoodly-doo, pop that link, would you? Yeah. My goal this month was to publish 4 articles. I'm actually on article 5. So exceeding my goal on the blog. Tech Rally says, let's do it. Sweet. Can I DM you? I'll DM you on the Discord. How about? I would love to have you on and talk more about development. Developers, it's 6:01. We have had such a robust conversation today about recruiters. Quincy Larson, the man himself, founder of Free Code Camp, published an article, Why So Many Developers Hate Recruiters. Any experience with suspicious recruiters is the 3-page rant fest on Indeed. These are not uncommon, unfortunately. We also have a Reddit, a subreddit. I never got to this. We'll pay you an experience. It's all about recruiters just acting ignorant. I should have talked about this a little more, but it's just another example of people getting burned, or scammed, or their time wasted by recruiters, mostly on LinkedIn. This is this problem hatched on LinkedIn, and hopefully it will die on LinkedIn, but who's really to know? We also talked about good recruiting experiences. Good recruiters are out there. A lot of them do not call themselves recruiters, however. Here's an example of this. Personally reviewed my profile, huh? Hi, first name. It's always funny when these variables look like that. I hope you had a great week. We are hosting UX UI Bootcamp at the George Washington University. We're looking for an attentive and energetic instructor to help deliver pre-written content. I've personally reviewed your profile. Yeah, looks like it, huh? Unless his LinkedIn says first name, which I highly doubt. So there's unfortunately just so much cynicism and negativity associated with recruiters. But from a practical standpoint, Hologram Nunchuck came with the question and just the observation of the entire video today. Should junior developers even fuss with recruiters? My answer is a resounding no. As I mentioned earlier, there are so many more opportunities, and they're going to be in the timestamps. We're gonna be doing some timestamps if you want to revisit this video, because we talked about a lot. And getting that first job especially it takes a lot of strategy. Also, if you're learning web development and you're about to embark on publishing your portfolio or resume or cover letter or getting your GitHub in order, check out my course, How to Get a Job in Web Development. We don't talk about recruiters. They're not part of any of that process. Paradoodly-doo, you know what to do. Share that link with people. It's on Udemy. And guess what, developers? I'm saving the best announcement for last. Only the strong survive. And if you've made it this far in the stream, you get to hear this little slice of information. After months of deliberation, research, and analysis, I have decided to start my own educational platform. we will be doing new courses. We will be taking, I'm still juggling and still assessing whether or not my current Udemy courses will be gracefully degraded and taken off the platform. Don't worry, if you have access right now, you will have permanent access. It's just that I might be closing it for the platform to put those Udemy courses exclusively on this platform. We will also be having guest instructors that I have personally vetted and personally just endorse to teach courses. These are not your run-of-the-mill how to learn JavaScript courses. These are courses I have developed over the past year when assessing what developers need, specifically junior developers. And I am so excited. I am so excited. It is overdue, but it's coming. I don't have a release date. I just wanted to tell you, you're going to be hearing more about it in the months to come. We're going to be launching in 2020. We're going to be having, I mean, it's going to be big. It's going to be big. And it's overdue. But I wanted to take my time and be deliberate about it to offer only the best. We will have only the most relevant information and resources on there. We're going to come correctly. If you have enjoyed some of these videos, you're really going to be enjoying the platform. And even if you don't like my channel, you're still going to enjoy the platform. You will find benefit. Even people who thought, I don't need another course. Oh yeah, you do. You do. These aren't going to be how to learn JavaScript courses. So excited. So more information on that coming soon. Developers, I want to thank you for tuning in. Great live as always. Tomorrow is the Fish Fry Friday for software developers, where we talk about anything and everything. Shout out to Amy, shout out to Sarah, Michael, and Paradoodly-Doo. Shout out to my viewer activity panel where I got my super chats, Donovan Codinghag and Craig Wadding. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your support. As always, I hope you're having a wonderful day. Stay safe. Wash your hands. Take it easy. And I will see you in the next video. Peace out.